Coach Monken, Media Day is an excitement with the season right around the corner. How excited are you?
Having Media Day with almost 2.5 weeks into camp here, or having it after having gone through 2.5 weeks of camp is a little different. So I think the excitement of starting camp is there, and then you get into this grind and you get into the routine, and we're just working really hard right now. I really like our team. We've got a great group of young men. They're committed to this program, and I know they are because we practice really hard and we push them, and it's physical and demanding, and they keep coming back for more. So I'm excited about this group to see what this more veteran group, probably more veteran team than we've had since I've been here, will be able to do. It's going to be a challenge, but we got a great opportunity.
It's a veteran group and a veteran group under you. In your fourth year, these players have, almost exclusively played for you here at West Point. In the years of, your first few years implementing your program, your expectations, what is it now in year number 4 with everyone who's pretty much been under you, what you're still trying to instill in this group?
Every year it's the same. We try to instill the same philosophy and culture, and as we get new freshmen in, they've got to learn from the older guys, and fortunately we've got a really strong group of seniors and a strong group of leaders. The junior class, it's made up of a bunch of guys who played a lot of football as freshmen 2 years ago in 2015, and we didn't have a great year, but we played really tough and played really hard, and those guys gained a lot of confidence. I think it helped us last year, and as that group, Kalen Holt and Andy Davidson and go down the list of that class, those guys, Darnell Woolfolk, I can keep going, but that's a really strong group of guys. So that's our junior class. I think we've got good leadership, and now the challenge becomes trying to keep it going. We had some success last year, not as much as we hope. Gosh, we want to win them all, but we want to play the best we can. That's the biggest challenge, and I don't think we did that every week last year. And so that's our challenge, is to do that, and to not be satisfied with having won our rivalry game and going to a bowl game. It's to try to get better. So that's really what we're pushing this group to do.
It's often said sometimes that each group of captains each year have their own way to lead. What have you seen so far from Ahmad and John? What's their style been for leading this team?
They lead with their own personality, and they need to do that. And that's why their teammates chose them as captains, because of that personality, because of their leadership style and those skills that they have. And those are two really special kids. And in that class, that senior class, there's a lot of guys in that class that are going to play a lot of football for us this year that were recruited by Coach Ellerson and the previous staff. So, the credit for guys like John Voight and Scott Washley and Ahmad Bradshaw and Andy McLean and those are a great group of guys, and they've bought into this brotherhood and into this program and what we believe, and they really embody those values. So it's a lot easier as a coach to have guys who've grown up in the program with us, as you said, been here 4 years with us, and they take the leadership reins and really help our staff instill those values into the new cadets we got and the freshmen.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, you received many accolades on the CBS Sports Network a preview for the Academy football. One of the things I noted was that the size of the Army football team has gotten bigger, stronger players across the board. How has that really helped your team? And I know you've had the players doing a lot of weightlifting and other measures to increase size and strength. How has that helped the team?
Well, as for the accolades, I told you earlier they probably haven't seen us practice yet. If they came out and watched practice, they'd probably change their mind, but they'd realize how much work we've got to do, and that's what we're trying to do with this team. The guys have worked really hard to get themselves in position to be able to compete physically, but we're still not collectively as a team going to be as big and as physical as a lot of the teams that we play. But we want to maximize the potential we have. And I think our strength staff, Coach Hess and his staff, what Coach Karen built the first 3 years we were here, as a strength coach and our players, and to see them and the intensity that they have when they go into the weight room. I mean, our strength staff that has come from staffs around the country marvel at just the work that they put in each day. They come in there with a great attitude. There is a purpose and a focus when they're in there. It's not just guys in there pushing weights around, and they want to get better. And to see guys like Alex Ackerman, who's gained 55 pounds since he's been here, Brett Toth, who has gained 85 pounds since he's been here, and John Voight, who played as a freshman. I think he was in the 220s. He's 260 something, 260 or high 250s. I mean, those guys have changed their bodies, and that changes their abilities on the field and what they can do with opponents that are pushing back. So I've really been impressed with our players and their focus on getting better physically. But a lot of the credit goes to the guys in our strength staff that have done that.
Coach, I know you just dedicated a scrimmage on Sunday to working on your kicking game, punting, place kicking. How do you feel like your special teams are? I know it's something you wanted to improve over last year.
I think our special teams have played well, covering kicks and playing punt defense and kick defense, and those are important pieces of the game. Obviously, when you kick the ball down the field, you don't want to give up big returns. We only had 4 punts returned against us the whole year last year, so we had one that we allowed too much yardage, and the other 3 we did a decent job of keeping from gaining any significant yardage. But unfortunately, we weren't punting the ball down the field far enough, and our net punting average was terrible. And we've got to gain more yards on that play, and that's really our goal on punts, punt returns, kickoffs, and kickoff returns. Our net yardage, our field position yardage on those plays has got to improve. So that's really been our focus, as well as trying to kick the ball better, punt the ball better, be more accurate on field goals, better placement on kickoffs, and we've got some guys that have matured and grown up in the program, and I think they'll get better just as the other guys on our team have. So those were all rookies last year, not rookies in the sense that they were freshmen, but they had never been in games before. So I think with a year under their belt, they'll improve.
How do you feel about your long snappers? Something we don't get a chance to talk about, but can really be a vital part of place kicking.
Scott Flanick has done a good job. Scott was the snapper last year, and he too was a first-time long snapper. Had been in the program and developed, and really confident in him and what he's done this fall. He's snapped the ball as well as he has since he's been here. In fact, I was just watching practice from 2 days ago this afternoon, and just a great punt snap. And I stopped the film and ran it back to check to make sure it was him, because it really great velocity and a perfect placement for the punter, and that's what you want out of a veteran snapper. And you're right. You take that for granted. Well, just snap the ball. It's not that easy. And to have a good one, a guy that can do the job, is very, very important part of the kicking game.
Coach, in college football, high school football, there's been concern about preventing injuries in football, concussions, other types of injuries. I noticed you've been trying to decrease, get your whole team healthy to the opening day. What are some of the measures that you can do and team has done to kind of reduce the number of injuries?
One of the things we've tried to do this camp is reduce the amount of time that we hit and play live football, where we're tackling people to the ground, and we've got blockers that are blocking below the waist and end up on the ground. And I think a lot of the injuries happen when guys hit the ground. We've tried to decrease unnecessary collisions with the ground. That's number one. We have cut back the number of practices where we're in full gear, where there's scrimmage type situations, but not completely. And I think we've really got to evaluate where that fine line is between hitting enough and having enough live contact that we're prepared for it in a game, because I don't think you can not practice that way and expect to show up on on September 1st and be able to tackle guys to the ground and block people to the ground. You got to do that some, but limited enough that we keep our team as healthy as possible. And that's been the challenge for us. We haven't had a healthy team and the same lineup from week 1 to week 12 in any of the seasons I've been here. And some of it, I'm sure, has to do with the intensity of preseason camp, the intensity of the way we practice throughout the year, because we continue to hit and block below the waist and tackle during the year. Again, I think that you've got to do that some in order to be able to do it effectively on Saturdays. But here at the academy, the academic load, the additional obligations that they have from a military standpoint make it really difficult to get the kind of rest that maybe a traditional college football player gets, or a football player at a traditional college would get. I know that's the case just in comparing the schools that I've coached at and here, and that doesn't. It's just different. It's just who we are, and so the things that our guys do in addition to their school responsibilities, and those are tough everywhere. And I've coached at some great colleges and coached guys who had very challenging academic loads, and Georgia Southern and Georgia Tech, and it's a challenge. But to add the football with that, and that's tough everywhere. And as coaches, we count on our guys to be there at practice and do their workouts and come to meetings, and we're all permitted that 20-hour work week, and we use it. But on top of that, the obligations as a military institution make this an entirely different place. So they aren't getting naps, and they're not off their feet, and they're not getting the natural rest that maybe everybody else gets. And that over the course of the year takes its toll at times, and it just I know sometimes they don't feel as well rested. So those are all things that we take into consideration on the front end now. So as we go through preseason camp, we consider, hey, what's it going to look like between September and December for them? Not just what we're doing right now, but what are they going to do on a continuing basis each day as a cadet? And so we've really tried to tailor our practices and our preseason camp with that in mind.
Coach,
that's a long answer to your question, and I'm sorry.
Well, very important. In fact, I'm going to follow up and just say I always ask your players how they learn to do time management here. There's been conjecture in college football about whether it's possible. I just talked to Brett Toth, who's a physics major, your offensive tackle. What do you teach? How do you instruct the players, direct them on time management so they can do all the requirements here at West Point?
We help manage their time for them because it's difficult. They've got to make decisions every day because I don't know if 24 hours is enough time to do all of it. And they've got to sleep, and we've got to get them rest. So in those hours that they're awake, we really try to help them schedule their time and manage their time. For a guy like Brett, he doesn't need our help. He's a smart guy. He's a veteran player. He's an outstanding cadet. So he's figured out how to manage the time himself. But for guys that come from a high school setting into this environment, the first time you do it is I think it's really eye-opening, and they need our help because they've never had so much demanded of them ever in their life, and we can't expand time. There's only a certain amount of time, so we help them with that, and they learn while they're here to do that themselves. And by the time they're seniors and veteran players, then they've figured it out, and we're on to the next generation and the younger guys. So and we're not afraid to say that. I think we'd all like for the guys to be able to just come in here and do it all themselves and manage their own time, but that's what we're here for. We have a great support staff, and the academy does an incredible job. Nobody in the world does it better than the United States Military Academy of teaching these young future leaders how to manage their time, how to make decisions, which includes deciding what's important right now, what do I need to do at this moment to be able to succeed. And so it's a challenge, but they handle it.
Coach Jeff Monken, appreciate hearing your perspective on all the aspects of the Army football program. Best wishes from all of us at the American Legion.
Thanks, Ken. Beat Fordham.
Absolutely. It's Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio at Army Media Day.